Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Duet Night Abyss is finally starting to kick off some of its marketing into high gear with some great character trailers. And one thing that I feel like a lot of people might not be familiar with when it comes to the game is the fact that all of its characters are not actually going to be in the gacha. You're going to basically be able to acquire all of these characters, right, by farming various things in the game's dungeons, so on and so forth. And that also means that there's not really standard units anymore. There's not really limited units. There's not really 4-star units. So with that dynamic in play, you can kind of imagine that every single character in the game should be getting, right, a similar amount of attention. Because there's no, 4-star rankings, or really, you don't really have, those second-class citizens. You don't really have that dynamic playing out. Something that we're familiar with in gacha. Without further ado, we've actually got a character trailer. And this is a unit that actually used to be one of those standard units that you would get from the standard banner. But she's not like that anymore. So let's go ahead and see what this trailer is looking like.
Tonight.
That's a pretty solid opening shot. I see why somebody was asking me to react to this. That's a pretty solid opening shot.
It's a beautiful night. Perfect for a dance and a romantic encounter.
Oh, she's simping.
It's you. Come in search of the destined one.
Okay, let me just be upfront with you when I'm talking about certain things that are going on. This trailer is incredibly well designed. I'm just gonna say it from the perspective of graphical fidelity. You've got the elements of the whole choreographing, all of that. They're putting in the work with this one. Definitely, and this is, again, I think this is going to simply be the first of many.
Have you? Come closer. Don't look away. Let me show you how to craft this one and only fragrance of love. The top note is like a first encounter, a sweet breathless rush.
I feel like I can kind of tell what the target audience of at least this character is becoming.
Swelling like an irresistible.
She's giving me these Shorekeeper and Cantarella vibes. I think that's the way that it would combine for me. It's like Shorekeeper and Cantarella vibes combined, and then also if Cantarella was actually, a bit of a freak. We all know that she's actually a good person inside. Yeah, I don't know about this woman. I don't know about Rebecca. She's kind of giving me interesting vibes. I feel like she might fuck us over.
Tide. The heart note, rich and heady, like intimate whispers.
Okay, now we're gonna get into the combat showcase. All right, I just wanna give a hats off to them for this transition. That's pretty crazy. So they kind of start off with their silhouettes against the moon, almost like an eclipse. Then you get this whole thing going on, the nice 2D animation on top of the 3D. Actually seems to me really heavily inspired by some of the recent gacha trailers that we've been seeing. I think Genshin's been doing a little bit of this. I think Wuwa's been doing a lot of this, for sure. And then they got the actual waves, a bubble, and then the fight. Oh, jeez. Oh, Jesus.
Now there's nothing left in this world that can part us.
I like one thing that they're doing over here is being very faithful to the actual combat and the actual way you're going to be fighting in game. The reason why there are just so many of these mobs in here is because this is what the actual gameplay looks like, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to be fighting literally this many enemies when you're in the combat sections of this game. That's kind of how it's designed. So I'm glad that it's not some sort of goofy little scene where they're only fighting against 2 or 3 enemies, because you'll never actually do that in the game.
Part us.
Oh, she absolutely cooked them. Oh, she's got a...
Passion always fades, but what remains when the tide ebbs is a fragrance that never leaves.
I don't know if that's like a skin. Maybe that's like her second form. Maybe that's a part of her baseline kit. But yeah, that's an interesting angle for sure.
Just like the base note, a lingering aftertaste, tinged with bitterness.
I'm not like those two-faced grown-ups. Tabitha always keeps her word.
Okay, wait, what is going on over here? Are they teasing like a bunch of other units?
Faced grown-ups. Tabitha always keeps
Wait, like
her
what?
word. Look, that's the one.
And this was your first encounter with your destined one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest over here. This is one of the most confusing trailers I've ever seen, just from the perspective of, I'm not like super sure what she's like up to, other than she's like a potion maker. She's got like all of like that ocean aesthetic and then all of that. I'm not really sure who this is. I actually thought this was like Baranika, who's kind of like the white-haired, almost like white-haired, like, you know, companion from the start, but it doesn't look like that. Looks like a completely different unit. Yeah. She's got like way like darker tone over here and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that they're kind of like starting all of this like characterization stuff early on in the trailer. You can see that we're looking down from the perspective of a different unit. That's her, right? You know, the one that we just... Wait, no, those are two completely different units, actually. Wait, who's holding... You know what? I'm not even going to try to figure it out. I'm confused as hell. All of them have, like, white hair. And so maybe somebody in the comments section... Yeah, I'm being told to look at the comments. Maybe somebody in the comments section could actually advise us for what's going on over here. If Cantarella and Shorekeeper had a baby... Really creative way of switching between the two MCs. That's true. I thought the thumbnail was Shorekeeper. I'm gonna be honest, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we're getting any answers to our questions over here. Cantarella X Shorekeeper for what is essentially free, plus grinding is actually crazy. What timeline are we in? Who makes these videos, man? They need to make more of them. You know what? I think one thing is clear. Duet Night Abyss is clearly, evidently, and successfully tapping into the Wuthering Waves player base with their designs, with their voice work, with, I guess, like the quality of like their cinematics and all of this. And I'm seeing a huge kind of like gap between the two communities actively being bridged, and the game hasn't even come out yet. The fact that there are comments like this at the top, right? You don't see a single mention of any other gacha title, right? No Genshin Impact, no Honkai Star Rail, no Zenless Zone Zero. It's just all Wuthering Waves. Well, I'm just going to be real, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like this game is actually going to pop off once it drops close to like October 28th, right? Because let's be real here. Wuthering Waves players are kind of going through a bit of a drought at the moment. They are, without a doubt, going through a drought. And this game is going to arrive right as the second half of version 2.7 arrives, where there's not really a lot of stuff to do, right? There's, I think, 2 login events and then nothing really else going on in the patch. I think it's time to go to Duet Night Abyss, ladies and gentlemen. I've theory crafted the idea that Kuro and Hero Games are actually in partnership, and Wuwa 2.7 is just a Duet Night Abyss ad. And for what I'm seeing over here, it seems like it was. It seems like my theory was actually true. So I'll be seeing all of you in this universe, and believe me when I say this, if they keep pumping out more character trailers of this high quality, because this one for Rebecca was, I'm gonna be honest, it was fucking great. Yeah, we'll be doing plenty more reacts like these in the future. Let me know what you all thought about this trailer, what you thought about this character, what you thought about this design, the accent, the teasers for the new units, or the other units that are showing up over here. I think they absolutely cooked. And I'm greatly looking forward to all of the other content that's gonna be, you know, coming out real fast as we approach that release date sooner and sooner. Let me know what you all thought about this one, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.